All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to start this lesson. Just like it 1 minute. First and foremost, I want to start this lesson by giving all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Racha Kurash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught us all this truth and who also rule well and also teach well. Shalom to Allah Achim in this truth and sincerity, starting with the 144,000 and the 1/3 of the nation of Israel, which we are fighting to be a part of. And this is your brother Khabar Yakal coming back, Lord willing, with another quick and edifying lesson. And as you can see, the title of this lesson is In the Face of Great Adversity. All right. And basically this title is just going into, Lord willing, we're the chosen, Lord willing, we're the ones that endure to the end and be saved. This lesson is going into, us standing, well, matter of fact, let me get that, stand in great boldness. This lesson is basically us overcoming, the elect, all right, of the children of Israel, which are you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, and also scattered Israelites who don't look like the typical Israelite. This lesson is just going into us overcoming, and triumphing, being, and that's the spirit. Look at what time it is. Us being delivered and redeemed, all right? I'll start Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5 and verse 1. Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him. All right, and that's us. We're standing in great boldness. We go out to the highways and byways publicly week in and week out. Sometimes multiple times throughout the week. We publicly post these lessons. Before all, we're, like Yahweh Shai said, we're confessing his Father and him before men, before all men. All can see. The scripture says a city set on a hill cannot be hid. And we're doing it in great boldness. It says in Hebrews, cast not away thy confidence. All right, which I've been meaning to do a lesson on that. I just came back into my mind, call Allah Yahweh Shai Shai. Might do a lesson on that, but we're not casting away our confidence. All right, we're standing in great boldness, as men of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, before the face of such as have afflicted him, and first and foremost, that's talking about Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white race, the Edomites, which are really red. That's the reason why we call them so-called, is because that's what they call themselves. In reality, they're not white. They're really red, different shades of red. And not every so-called white person is an Edomite, by the way. There's Israelites. The Israelites are the chosen people. There's Israelites scattered among so-called white people, and that look like them, So this isn't a white and black thing, but the Edomites, they are the main enemies that this scripture is talking about. Us standing in great boldness in their face. The elites are watching us. They send agents. A few weeks back, there was like a black limousine. Well, I don't know if it was a limousine. It was like that type of car. It was like it wasn't a Salaki. It wasn't a limousine. It was like an SUV. Brothers could back me up on this because I wasn't the only one who saw it. I believe that the brother Zachariah saw it, but it was an old ass white guy in the so-called white guy, a Edomite, in the passenger seat. He had a driver, and he pulled up by camp and stopped and just like looked at us. Then they drove off, and then they spun the block, and he came back again and stopped. I'm talking about this guy looked like an elite for real. The windows were tinted. I think he rolled down the window like to look or something. That shows you the elites are watching. Like, I don't know who that guy was, but he didn't seem like some low-level guy. I'm just saying that. But we're standing in great boldness. All right? They have afflicted us. These devils are spraying chemtrails. They're polluting the earth. Now, of course, you could go all the way back to slavery. And, we're yet this day in slavery. We're yet this day in our captivity. But in another sense, this devil is like polluting the earth, man. He's afflicting us. He's putting wickedness. He's promoting wickedness. We just got to, sit here and just look at wickedness and can't do nothing about it except for wait on the Lord. That's affliction and made no account of our labors. Israel, the Israelites, who so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American, have innovated this whole society, and that's just a fact. You know, all the inventions, the traffic lights, you know, refrigeration, you know, refrigerated trucks. America would be, you know, still primitive, so to speak, without Jakes. But on another level, you could say that's talking about, you know, wicked Israelites too. We're standing in boldness before all the wicked of our people, and, you know, the wicked, which is Esau, Edom. When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they looked for. So when they see what we're talking about, what are we talking about? We're talking about Yahweh Shai coming back with an army of angels. You know, Yahweh Shai being a so-called black man, the angels being so-called black men, coming back in extraterrestrial vehicles, which are the chariots, what the world ignorantly calls UFOs. That's what we're talking about. So when they see what we're talking about, when they finally see it, and we're going to see it too, you know, the righteous is going to see it and the wicked is going to see it. They're going to be troubled with terrible fear, you know. But that's the difference between us and them. When we see it, we're going to be rejoicing. Of course, you know, it's going to be something we've never seen before. But I believe by that point, the Lord will have built us up to be able to withstand it, to not be completely overcome with fear. At that, because think about, we're going to be seeing all type of stuff we never saw before during Jacob's trouble. This is the worst time in human history. So by the time Yahweh Shai comes back, we're probably, our minds are going to be able to accept it because we already knew it. It's going to get so bad, we're going to be sighing a breath of relief when we see those chariots. But the wicked is not going to be so with them. They're going to actually be afraid and trembling, crying, you know, pissing themselves, shitting themselves, having a heart attack, but not dying. Because the Lord's going to keep people alive too. People are going to be having heart attacks and the Lord is going to keep them alive just so they could get their judgment. Like if it was any other day, they would have dropped dead, but the Lord's going to keep them alive through the Spirit. Because the scripture says they shall seek death and shall not find it. So people will be having heart attacks. You know, I'm just, you know, I'm just speculating too, you know, the Lord could just have someone just stay alive as they're having a heart attack, you know, so they could get hit with those missiles, which will destroy Babylon the Great, aka America. And that's another thing when it says when they see it, when they see what we're talking about, part of that is the nuclear destruction of Babylon the Great. Russia and their allies, which Russia is Gog/Magog, Tubal, you know, all these different nations, Turkey, Iran, all right, Pakistan, all these different nations with nuclear capabilities are going to launch nuclear missiles and destroy America. And that's biblical prophecy. You know, if you don't believe that, hey, it's going to happen regardless. You not believing isn't going to make these world leaders, you know, dismantle the nukes. You know, oh, this low level, low vibrational nigga in America doesn't believe. All right, emergency meeting. You know, we got to take apart the missiles. This guy doesn't believe. He doesn't believe the prophecies. We got to take apart the missile. That's not going to happen. All right. Just because you don't believe doesn't mean they're going to take apart the missiles. They're going to shoot those arrows, you know? So it says, and they repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit shall say within themselves, this was he whom we had sometimes in derision and a proverb of reproach. So they're going to recognize us being beamed up and being saved, the strangeness of his salvation. And they're going to wish that they never talked shit. They're going to wish that they never scoffed, you know. And excuse my French, but, you know, hey, that's just a raw spirit coming out. All right. It says, we fools accounted his life madness and his end to be without honor. They thought we were just some crazy guys, you know. They thought we were just going to, you know, live to an old age, you know, and just die. And, you know, the prophecies never coming to pass. They thought we were going out like that. They were just some crazy guys. And then America just keeps going on. That's why they're fools, man. No, our end will be with honor. And I'm going to get to that. It says, how is he numbered among the children of the Most High? And his lot is among the saints, being of the elect, the ones who get delivered. The 144,000 and the 1/3. Now I'm going to get to that. All right, I'm going to get 2nd Ezra 2:42. Because our end will be with honor. You know, you people, your end is going to be without honor. You lived a vain life. You didn't serve the Lord. You didn't even think about the Lord. So your end is going to be without honor. But as for us, you know, our end will be full of honor, full of glory, you know, to the point. I'm gonna get to it. 2nd Ezra chapter 2. We're not doing this for no reason, man. All right. This is the ultimate investment. You know, and we're gonna keep going because hey, when that day comes, you know, this investment is gonna be sweet, man. That we invested our time and our energy, we sacrificed, you know, we made our bodies a living sacrifice, like it says in Romans 12:1. This is the ultimate, you know, investment. This truth, serving the Lord, having faith in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. This is the ultimate investment. Okay? This is a treasure. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 2:42. And I, Ezra, saw upon the Mount Zion a great people whom I could not number, and they all praised the Lord with songs. That's talking about the 144,000 and the 1/3, the elect, which is going to be millions of people, you know, because the 144,000, those are all men. But women are going to be saved too. Children are going to be saved too. And men outside of that number is going to be saved. So it's going to be millions of people. The 144,000 is just the governing body, you know. So it says, and in the midst of them, there was a young man of a high stature, taller than all the rest. And upon every one of their heads he set crowns, and was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly. You know, that's talking about Yahweh Shai. You know, he's going to be taller than all the other members of the elect. You know, because he's the son of the Most High. You know, he's going to be taller than all of us. Lord willing, we're of that number. You know, and it said upon every one of their heads he set crowns. So the elect is going to be crowned by Yahweh Shai. He's going to put crowns on our head himself. All right? He's going to be the ones to put the crowns on our heads. You know, when we get to that point, and that's what we're fighting for, man. And that crown represents immortality. We're never going to die again. We're going to be able to sit on a throne and make moves in the earth. Righteousness. We're going to be able to make righteous moves on the earth, you know. That's what we're fighting for. Because it's nothing but wickedness right now, and we can't do nothing about it. But the Lord's going to give us the power to do something on the earth, to push righteousness, you know. It's not going to be no more pollution. Whales aren't going to be beaching themselves anymore. You know, animals aren't going to go extinct. We're going to be ruling in righteousness on the earth, you know. It's not going to be no women out of order, all right? Everything's going to be in complete order, and he's going to give us the power to do it. The nations are going to be under us. He's going to give us servants. We're going to have slaves. What king do you know doesn't have slaves? You know, the Lord's going to give us slaves. He says he's going to put crowns on our head. What king do you know that never had slaves? King David had slaves. King Solomon had slaves. We're going to have slaves. The other nations are going to be under us. All right. It says, and in the midst, Salaki, verse 44. So I asked the angel and said, Sir, what are these? And he answered and said unto me, These be they that have put off the mortal clothing and have put on the immortal and have confessed the name of the Most High. We're doing that. We're confessing the true names of the Most High and his son, which is Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. We're confessing those names. Somebody got to do it. You know, this prophecy has to be fulfilled. It says, and have confessed the name of the Most High. Now are they crowned and receive palms, which represents victory. Verse 46. Then I said unto the angel, What young person is it that crowneth them and giveth them palms in their hands? So he answered and said unto me, It is the Son of God, whom they have confessed in the world. Then began I greatly to commend them which stood so stiffly for the name of the Lord, which is Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. All right. And we're doing that in the face of great adversity. So I'm going to give Revelation 3 and 10. All right. Oh, Salaki, what am I doing? Get this. And Salaki, Salaki, I'm kind of getting, into it. Salaki, I'm getting hype, Excuse my, excitement. But this is Revelation 3 and 10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience. Hold up, is that what I want? Yeah. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So because we stood so stiffly for his name, we didn't waver. We didn't, adversity came our way and we didn't give up. Everything went against us. Nothing was going our way and we didn't give up. Because of that, he said he's going to keep us from the hour of temptation. All right. Meaning he's going to protect us when everyone else is getting, putting that device in their right hand or on their forehead. We're going to reject it because he's going to put that spirit on us to reject it. We're not taking that mark, but these people are. But because we stood so stiffly, he's going to put the spirit on us not to take it. All right, that MOTB. It says, behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. So he's basically saying, just hold on, keep going. Don't let go of this truth. This is a treasure. All right. He said that no man take thy crown. Remember, it said he's the one who's going to crown us. Yahweh Shai is going to crown us. So he's the one saying that. So if we don't give up, man, that crown is as good as ours. I'm going to end off Revelation 7. That's how you know I'm getting into it. I'm starting to lose my voice. Salaki, I'm hyped, man. All right. This is Revelation 7 and verse 9. It says, and after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues. And when you go into that word kindreds, it really goes into anyone descending from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, So really the Israelites. It's not talking about the other nations. Remember, our people have been scattered among the other nations and even look like the other nations, So it says, and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands, and cry with a loud voice. I'm gonna skip down to the point. Verse 13, and one of the elders answered, saying unto me, what are these which are arrayed in white robes, and whence came they? And I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said unto me, these are they which have came out of great tribulation, and have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Meaning we purified ourselves in the word. Psalms 119 and 9, how can a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed according to thy word. So us washing ourselves with the blood, that's being washed by the word. We're purifying ourselves. We're getting that old man off of us. We're preparing for that wedding. We're preparing for our bridegroom, which is Yahweh Shai. We're the bride, and we're getting ready. So that was pretty much it. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying and comforting. Once again, giving our praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Chakurash, Shalom.